actions over here on what, this turn 6 now. We still got a lot to go in this game. It's a long game. I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit more, but oh geez, did I miss something? I'm wondering if there was a collapse that I forgot to move this down for. There was a rebellion. I bet you that turns things towards chaos, but I'm not sure. I gotta look that up. Anyway, the family actions split into about 3 categories. Some players dropping a token into the manor. Biggest victory points, 2 points for $5. That's not that bad a deal. You know, it's about what this is, and it does take up, you know, your family action though, so that's kind of painful, and it does take a cube, which can affect some people. Some, I think just green here, went for additional stock, throw some extra money in the company. He wants to keep it alive. He needs the time. There are people who have more victory points than him, I think. I'm not really good at counting, so it's hard to tell, but 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 there, whereas he has 6, 7, 8, and now 10 here, but he needs a little bit more time. So he needs to keep the company running. With a company like this, it could be a game end condition. So boom, he throws some stocks in, throws some more money in. At the very least, even if we have another crash, there's still going to be a cube in there, so the game's not going to end. Give him a little bit more time to maybe buy another one of these or something. I don't know. And then people who just didn't have money, we saw going to the writer or officer boxes. Obviously, if you don't have money, captain may not be the best choice because you may not have money next turn either. You never know. If you've got oodles of money, captain is definitely a good choice, unless you have so many oodles that you throw it in here and then you have no money. That kind of advanced planning is really tough for me. And I saw that in our opposed game, as people were like, oh gosh, I was planning on a captain, but then something else came up and I spent my money. All right. And we have a new chairman. Orange gets selected as chairman. Chairman, mainly through the Walsh family throwing in. The reason for it, these are the guys who are kind of not doing well, don't have a lot of money, and need to shake things up, and they're hoping crashing the company will do that. So, not necessarily destroying the company, but if they can knock these out, there goes some victory points for people that aren't them. Purple threw their votes in, they're not so sure, but they could have grabbed it themselves if they wanted it. But these guys are willing to work with them, and there was something else. I don't remember what the something else is. It doesn't look very likely for them, though, because the people who are cranking the money off all their ships are probably going to be doing best in the no company game as well. Ship captains seem to be a really good way towards winning this game. Offices were filled. There's something I kind of don't like about the deployment of offices because they have to be done in order. I would have to choose this one first. Now, in this case, it didn't really matter. There were 3 senior offices and 3 senior officers and 3 executive positions that were open. So I had to fill with the people I had. But otherwise, this presidency would be the one that draws from the writers, if need be, right? And then our director of trade filled the writers. Everybody kind of leaving orange alone. Wow, why is green director of trade? Green, well, green doesn't want to help orange particularly. I don't mind promoting people who aren't doing terribly well. Although, honestly, I'm going to do this because Dork Orange and I share the same shipbuilding interest, so that actually will help. But then the others go as they will with some placements. And now we're down to the actual running of those offices. Got another loan to ensure that he got some money off of here probably, because otherwise it would be giving $2 to Pink. Pink's not in control. And also throw some more money into the military. And yes, I took my free cannons turn, so that we have to buy 3 more cannons at $3 each. Trying to prevent us from getting any income, trying to make it so we can't pay dividends, and so that we wipe out the stock market a little bit. A successful attack invades Mysore, stripping that from Pink. Is purple doing this? I'm not sure. To weaken the company, I guess. And that creates a new office here. Now, if I keep adding to that one presidency, I'm going to have some map problems, some positioning problems, but that's okay. There's no money over here. There's money over here. He doesn't actually have to try to accomplish anything, though. He could do other things, like go to war. And these cannons should be up here. I don't know why they're down there. But all of this was executed. That was a successful attack on Mysore. That means there's a plunder of 3 for that purple cube. And only that cube was used out of all the possible leaders. We have a lot of cannons, so we can kind of choose who to use. And these guys are being kept for a police action. Is some successful trade? Filling these out. Hey, he wants the extra cash there. I kind of made a mistake. Purple and Pink could have each done military actions and gotten an extra $3 each, and they didn't do that. They didn't agree to take each other's things. They didn't think about it, is really what it came down to. So that's going to put us down to the mechanical actions that kind of take place here, where we just start scoring things. Question is whether that $19 that we scored is enough to hold everything. I doubt it is. Looks like we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, we're not going to be able to afford any dividends, which means we're going to have a collapse again this turn. I think we actually have a position where maybe somebody might want to protect Bombay here, but then again, maybe not. Pink is sitting here with the ability to move this out of Bengal into Bombay. I don't think they care. So we got our first event there, and we are in chaos right now. I was wrong. I thought this was the order. Right, you know, law and order should be rightist, right? Okay. But it also would not have moved as far as I can tell. So we get a big nasty 6 here, which says flip this. And it would go further towards chaos if it could. Oh, I forgot to move this. I don't think that changes location. So we go and find 7. Area 7, Sindh, still in chaos. That's a 3. It has just improved, and I believe that sends it towards order. So we go neutral. That's our 2 events. Attrition rolls are always the same, but they're always in there, and that's where we'll go now. We got a lot of people who have, yeah, I have blue tokens instead of black ones, who have auto-fail attrition rolls there. I think I took care of everything. I did not. I owe $1 to each of the officers that I didn't do yet. So let me do that before I do the mechanical action of attrition. It's not all mechanical. In particular, players have the option to get their prizes. Green ended up buying 2 inflated price prizes because they really want the company, they want the game to end with the company crashing at this point. They're collecting, I think, they've got a lot of victory points. 2, 4, 6, 8, 14. But that won't count. That may be a penalty because that kind of guarantees them the chairmanship. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's real close. Purple and green are both looking at crashing it. Who's going to be able to get the victory? I don't know. Purple did not get any chits back, but yeah, it looks pretty damn good for them. They've got a danger that this might go to an executive office, but I don't think so. No, this one might. Yeah, so there's that. And for local news, who's going to want to revoke the monopoly? The people who are not close to winning, to tell you the truth, because they want some opportunity for the game to continue. It looks like the company's hosed. All those debt markers on there, it's going to be almost impossible. Well, I only owe $1, but it looks like it's going to be almost impossible to do that without taking a debt, to exist without taking a debt marker. And therefore, and I think I did this wrong, or we did this wrong when I played an opposed game. Let's get our pronouns right somehow. Which was, if there was money left over for the debt, we allowed that to go out to the dividends. It can't. We're seeing a fairly strong play as we get to the blue player of people supporting the company being revoked. Well, the monopoly being revoked. Now, that includes people like blue and orange and dark orange who have put in $6 and $3 respectively to pump this sucker up, because purple's sitting on a lot of money and may be able to swing this, but purple's not in first place. Green has 2 votes. They definitely want this to close out. Now we come to purple versus green, and this is where we're going to look at things. 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm a couple points behind. This is probably worth some penalty. Purple has an office. They're probably going to pick up a penalty too. So that comes out all even. My excess money gives me an advantage. However, if I vote my 2 against, I'm at 4. That means I need to come up with $4. I still think I've got the cash advantage here because I can buy a manor, and I think that'll do me good. So I'm going to spend to prevent the monopoly from being revoked. And that keeps this in place. The company is probably doomed at this point. As we go down to refresh, and we'll be moving forward. Actions was pretty simple. Basically, everybody bought themselves a manor. Nobody thinks it's going to survive here. Only one person was willing to keep it alive, which was pale green, because they feel like they had the opportunity to try. Well, I guess orange might have been interested as well, but they've got a nice run on the victory conditions. They think they're taking a shot at it. Basically, it's between them and purple if it crashes. Green is the only person who feels like they're behind, but in a very, very strong position if the game could continue. But they had no cash left. And so they couldn't even buy one of these, much less a single share, which would have prevented the game from crashing completely. And they did not want to throw them into Rider, because the danger when the company crashes is anybody who's got an executive position is going to take a penalty in victory points. Well, to my bonus, purple has an executive position here coming up, as does dark orange, even more likely. Purple's got one up there that's actually promoted before. So there's 4 executive positions. There's 4 senior level positions. All of the players who have a senior position are going to have an executive position. Wait, no, there's only 3 executive positions. Somebody does not. Something interesting though. The game will end due to green getting elected chairman. That's actually in the FAQ, but I think it doesn't happen till the end of the game, at the end of the turn. I think we play out the whole turn in order to do it. But no one's going to have shares. Green is going to have an executive office, he is the only person eligible for it. Oops. Chairman had none of his tokens anywhere useful, any jobs that were good. He decided not to take out a loan. The only things that could do anything were the conquest operations out of Bombay. Sindh has been captured, and out of Bengal, Madras has been taken. Madras totally useless. The Sindh one, well, the player with the governorship was able to take a couple of bucks in plunder out of it. So, but there's really really nothing that can be done. No trade is engaged in, nothing at all. And now we're going to hand out money, and people who lose their offices are going to get I think kind of bonused, actually, because they won't have the victory point penalty at the end of the game, but they also get an opportunity to randomly buy, a random opportunity to be able to spend whatever money they have, which isn't a lot right now, but cash is coming in. Not as much as most, but ships, officers, these things are going to be able to generate money. Okay, so actually, oh wait, where's mutiny? Mutiny's weird. Actually, nobody's going to get to use any of the money they just collected. They just got piles of money, but it's totally worthless because the company fails during the revenue phase. Well, over here during the trade phase, and the 3 victory points per executive office are cost. Otherwise, it would be a bonus to be in an executive office because you'd get a chance to buy one of these automatically. So none of the promotions mean a damn thing. None of the money that came through means a damn thing. All we're going to be doing is counting up victory points and subtracting 3 for each person who's sitting on an executive office. I'll scribble that down on some paper, I guess. A minute, there is one use for money. This guy's got a ton of these things. Strangely, he has one of its own. I wonder how that happened. Probably just threw it in the wrong place. But yeah, people can pay him lots of money. And obviously they're going to have this. It's going to be pretty hard at this point in the game not to have one of these. So it's 3, 6, 7. Not enough money for one of those. I guess the biggie is dark orange, throws him $4. This may be important because it may be a tiebreaker. Adding up the victory points, taking the penalties into play, we have 3 people with 11 victory points, 2 8s, and blue's got a 3. So honestly, it's fairly close. And I gotta say, when I played it the last time opposed, out of 4 people, 2 of us were tied. And we actually went through multiple tiebreakers. So let's take a look at what the tiebreakers are here for victory. Player with the most prize cubes wins. Okay, prize cubes are down here. They don't include manners. So let's see who's got the most. I'll count those up and come back. That's actually pretty easy. Out of the people with 11, green had 4 prize cubes. They've been investing in those instead of manners. Purple had only 3. Dork had only 1. Over here, punk and light orange both have 2. Well, between those, it comes to who has the most money. And all those promises at least get him 4th place instead of 5th. And blue is obviously in the end. When I look at a game that's as procedural, as mechanical as this, it's hard to come away with a lot of really big pieces of knowledge about the game. Especially when it's kind of abstract, where my decisions aren't really linked to some kind of reality, and they're just linked to the gameplay. It's kind of like in Go, which I'm not terribly good at, but I appreciate a great deal. I walk away with the,
certain shapes bad. That's kind of all I get. And I don't even really have them, you know, burned into my brain. I just kind of, when I see them next time, I know, yeah, that doesn't fall the way I want it to. I've got to fix that, or I can't put that there. That's not gonna get into a good shape, you know, if it's attacked. Or little patterns that seem to work. Here, the equivalent to that really is shipbuilding good, or captain's good. Captains make you a lot of money. They give you $2 per turn for each captain. How much do they cost, though? And that's the thing. As you go late in the game, it becomes less and less valuable to get them, because they do cost you at a minimum $4 each. And if they're doing that, you're giving money to someone. It could be yourself in order to buy those captainships. But chances are the company may be buying the cheap ones, so you may be buying more expensive ones. So at $6 each, it's going to take 3 turns for you to make that money back. And there is some risk involved in captainship. So what we were seeing was a big turnover in shipping capabilities, where the people who managed to lay down ships early in the game had a nice income. And that's really green primarily. Dark orange has a nice income, but he gets an income off the number of ships, which of course means that as long as shipping was seen as such an advantage, that's great. You can make a lot of money off company presidencies, but that relies on the company funding you. You have no way, you know, to guarantee you're going to get that money. You could make money off your taxation if you want to do that and not start hoarding it. You can make money off of manipulating factories and shipyards. And these things all need to be done. But the problem with every single one of them except for shipping is that it relies on other players. It relies on your deals with other players. It relies on their willingness to let you get away with that bonus. So, you know, if you're in a position where you have a couple of shipyards where you've got two factories, well, now you've just upped the cost that other people have for giving you this job. Someone else will get that job. So that's why I kind of prefer the shipping route. Although it does come with some risk, and it does come with a startup cost that these other things don't. Once the military reform came into play, the officers become a lot more valuable. They're not all that useful, though. Again, they can get replaced as long as other people are putting into officers. They can get pushed forward. There's not a lot of opportunity for cash for the chairman. His only real way of getting money is, I mean, early in the game you can do nepotism, because giving cubes away isn't that big a deal. You have a lot of excess cubes, first of all, so you're not like threatening your cube supply. And also, especially if you have a job like chairman or director of trade at some point, or even a presidency once you've conquered territories, you have the capacity to clear some of those out at very little cost for yourself, you know. So giving cubes away early doesn't seem all that terrible, especially in the 10-turn game. What about the game itself that I played? I think I liked something about the scenario that I attempted, which, you know, is homebrew. Here's what I liked. And I think I like it better than any of the, I think I like what I'm seeing that I would convert this scenario to better than any other scenario in the book. I think the end game scenario, the late game scenario, the company under siege, is still a 6-turn scenario. That's not obvious. But it has this mechanism of when the company fails, there's, you know, when there's a bailout, the government has to vote on whether to revoke that monopoly. I like that mechanism a lot. And that's the one thing that I would change in mind. Instead of putting that in the deck at all, I would just have it triggered starting with turn 4. The first 3 turns of the game, if there's a bailout, that's fine. We're not gonna have that. But starting with turn 4, any bailout triggers this as a possibility. Take the other card out, just like with the Company Under Siege card. Now, and the post-Monopoly scenario might be very interesting as well. The other thing, see, as far as I know, the only 10-turn scenario is the campaign game. The campaign game doesn't quite do it, because the campaign game throws an automatic revocation into the deck halfway through. Now, obviously, you could play some of these other scenarios in a longer playtime or something. Again, the rules aren't very good at telling you how long the scenarios are going to be. Here it says, in fact, the scenario that I put forward says plays closer to how this is worded. During the turns with the star, Monopoly may be revoked. Campaign game. It's almost assuredly going to be revoked. The only way it doesn't get revoked is if you reshuffle the deck. And let's see. Yeah, so normally all of the scenarios are 6 turns except for the campaign game. It does give you a lot of configurations, and we have not explored them all. And I kind of regret that. Like, part of me wants to play one of these others, or wants to play John and Company, which doesn't even have, and I may do that still, it doesn't even have the East India Company in it. I feel a little iffy. The one thing that I don't like about the scenario still, that I want to fiddle with and change, is I want to take these and have them shift. Like, I don't want them always to be there. You know, I want them to be kind of an opportunity card that shows up. I'm not sure how quite to do that. I could see that you deal them out in order, and each turn, one of them passes and you get a new one. Why? Because I don't like the idea of a game in which, and this is almost just a random thing, you know, a character trait of mine, pure personal preference or whatever, but I really don't like when a game has, hey, here's the things you have, and this is all you're going to have, and there's a whole bunch of components that you're not going to use on this play. Especially when I'm looking at something and I'm calling it the campaign game, and it's supposed to cover the whole history of the thing. Well, then all of these should be available technically at some point or another. There's also a something of a Euro-ish feel to a game in which available choices disappear and get replaced and just keep getting moved on. Easy fix, it really is. As a card gets used, it goes away. If it's got anything on it, it's still present. It's just not available to be purchased anymore. Some of them could end up not being useful then, though. Like if this shows up first, there's no way anybody's going to have that kind of money before it disappears. Any that disappear, I don't know, maybe reshuffle them. Or when the reshuffle comes in, maybe reshuffle them. You know, I don't know. Give them some opportunity to come back if you like. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it would change play all that much. In terms of planning, how much planning goes into, oh yeah, I want to get this one? Well, some. There's no question about that. But most of them are not that rich. Most of them, let's see. That's a pretty damn good one. 3 for $9. Because $9 is easy to get to. 7 for $17, you have to be executive. Here's another rich one. A rich one. Yeah, I mean, and certainly that kind of planning having it available for the entirety of the game, you know, it's not like these things are a major influence on the play of the game. So maybe having them fixed is actually better for gameplay. It's just something for me that, like, I just have this desire to have those extra components come into play. With the reshuffle in here, I know those are all available to some degree. And I don't have something equivalent here. It probably is a complexity that's not worth it for gameplay. It just is something that, you know, it's like a pacifier, you know. So yeah, I guess that's the major thing that I feel like I got is that the ships, at least in this playing, proved to be very effective. The ones that were gotten fairly early. The decisions on whether or not the company is going to stay, whether or not, you know, certain offices are powerful, things like the chairmanship. Everybody could just be like, screw up, man, I'm not giving you anything for that. If that kind of attitude starts prevailing through the play, and I think that sort of did for a while here, where nobody really was willing to offer much. Early on they were, but as the game kind of progressed, people weren't really all that much targeting trying to get a couple bucks from the shipyard all that heavily. It wasn't worth giving a cube up for, especially as you get later, the cubes become more valuable. And it becomes a harder thing. You might make deal for deal or something like that. When we were playing opposed, one of the interesting things that happened, because people kind of started realizing the cubes aren't really that big a deal. I mean, they're $2, right? At most. $2 that maybe you have at the end of the game and have absolutely no use for. But they're really unlikely to be any victory points. What they are is a reduction in your cube pool. And they have some limited value, but I have absolutely no problem with offering cubes at this point if something is worth something to me. And certainly a cube for something that's going to make me a couple of bucks seems like a worthwhile deal because I can probably get that cube back. But anyway, when we were playing opposed, we had kind of the fun thing of people trading other people's cubes all over the place. That's completely legal too, as is money. Money's a lot harder to convince yourself to give because you can use that money. You can't really use those cubes that somebody has given you. They're not really worth much. They give you a cube. It probably means that, you know, you'll get an office that you were going to get anyway. One thing that I kind of don't like, and I should be talking about this during the review, but I'll probably forget it then. Right now I have it all set up. So I kind of don't like that everything is done sequentially in terms of the offices. I prefer something like a junta type situation or the Dune Spice Harvest expansion, where the chairman figures out a set of offices to give out. Republic of Rome as well. You don't have to say, okay, well, there's only one person available, so he's getting this one. And now there are more people available because we've cleared, you know, well, that wouldn't be here, but that would be up with the executive offices. So if there's only one senior officer available, he gets the first of the executive offices, which is Director of Trade. Why does he get that? Why is that given prevalence over some of the others? Well, maybe Director of Trade's more important. But the three presidencies, they're all kind of equal and should be assigned at a kind of an equal basis. This wouldn't be too hard to do, where you could say, I'm assigning a set of offices at once, and I have flexibility there. I would prefer that because that's actually one of the aspects that contributes to the obscurantism problem that I have with the game, which is that you cannot sometimes make the deals that you want to because somebody has manipulated the game state, you know, or players have manipulated, or it just happened where, well, I have the only writer available and I will be made ship's purchaser because of that. I can't have the job that maybe I want more. I can't be assigned that job. And that may be a completely random thing, because the only job openings may be due to attrition roles or something like that. There is a lot of randomness in this in terms of the attrition roles, but that we'll try to save for the review. Except my brain's like, so scattered. All right, let's send this up, and at some point a little later, we'll see if I can find time to talk about the game itself. To talk about the game kind of in a more conclusionary manner.